The $100 bills landed beside Lily Carter's trembling hand just as her manager hissed that one more mistake would cost her the job. "Take it," the man in the charcoal coat said. "No one needs to know." Every head near the diner's front window turned. Lily looked at the money, then at the cracked pharmacy receipt sticking out of her apron. Her 9-year-old brother's asthma medicine had to be picked up before midnight. The cash on the table could cover it for months. She pushed the bills back. "I returned your wallet," she said. "I didn't sell it to you." Daniel Whitmore was not used to hearing no. At 44, he controlled hotels, office towers, and half the construction projects in Bellhaven. Now he stood speechless while a waitress with worn shoes refused more money than she made in a week. His mother, Eleanor, watched from the booth behind him. Lily had found Daniel's black wallet beneath their table. Inside were several $1,000s and the last photograph he owned of his sister, Ava. Lily had chased his car for a block to return it. Moved by her honesty, Daniel had offered $500. Lily would not touch it. "Then call it a tip," he said. "A tip is for service. Your coffee was $3. She took 3 crumpled singles from the table and placed them by the register. A few customers smiled. Carl Benson, the diner's owner, did not. "Lily," he warned. She lowered her voice. "If I take money for doing the right thing, what does that make the right thing worth next time?" Daniel slowly returned the bills to his wallet. The answer seemed to reach somewhere money could not. "What's your name?" "It's on the receipt." She turned to clear a booth before Carl could fire her in front of everyone. That was when Eleanor saw the necklace. A silver swallow had slipped from beneath Lily's uniform. One wing was scratched with a blue stone for an eye. Eleanor paled. 30 years earlier, she had fastened an identical swallow around her daughter's neck. "Daniel," she whispered, but he was already answering a phone call outside. Lily tucked the necklace away. Eleanor started after her, then stopped. It had to be coincidence. Her daughter had disappeared after a terrible argument, and every search had ended in silence. Minutes later, Lily finished her shift. Carl handed her a thin envelope. "Short again," she said after counting it. "You broke 2 glasses. 1 glass. And you took $30. Do you want to discuss arithmetic, or do you want to schedule next week?" Lily swallowed her anger and pocketed the envelope. At the kitchen door, she divided her meal and gave half to Mateo, the dishwasher, who had worked 12 hours without a break. Eleanor saw that too. Outside, Daniel opened the car door for his mother. "You're quiet." "Just tired." He kissed her cheek. "I'll send the driver back after my call." The moment his car turned the corner, Eleanor stepped away from the awning. Lily was walking toward the bus stop with half a sandwich. Eleanor had never followed anyone. But something in Lily's refusal, and in that battered silver bird, made this answer too fragile to place in someone else's hands. She followed. Lily boarded the number 7 bus. Eleanor followed in a taxi, lowering her face whenever the bus stopped. 20 minutes later, Lily got off in a neighborhood Daniel's company had marked for redevelopment. She entered a narrow brick building with a broken front light. Eleanor crossed the street and stood beneath a closed laundromat sign, ashamed of what she was doing but unable to leave. On the 3rd floor, Lily appeared beside a boy in dinosaur pajamas. She placed an inhaler in his hand, warmed the sandwich and cut it equally. The boy offered 1 piece back. Lily shook her head and smiled until he ate. Then an older photograph on the windowsill caught the room's yellow light. Eleanor could not see the woman's face clearly, but she saw the silver swallow at her throat. The little boy pointed toward the street. Lily turned. Her eyes met Eleanor's through the glass. For 3 long seconds neither woman moved. Lily pulled the curtain shut. Eleanor turned toward the corner, but the building door opened before she reached it. "Why are you following me?" Lily called. Lily stood barefoot on the steps, the boy watching from behind the hallway door. "I'm sorry," Eleanor said. "I saw your necklace." Lily's hand covered the swallow. "So you followed me across the city?" "I knew someone who had one like it. A lot of stores sell necklaces." "Not that one." Eleanor stepped closer, then stopped when Lily stiffened. "The left wing has 3 feathers. The blue stone came from an earring. On the back are 2 initials." Lily froze. E&A, Eleanor whispered. The boy coughed inside. Lily immediately turned. Her anger had to wait. His breathing could not. She hurried upstairs, leaving the door ajar. Eleanor should have left. Instead, she heard Lily say, "Slow breaths, Jamie. Look at me." The inhaler clicked. The child's frightened breaths gradually softened. "Is he all right?" Eleanor asked from the threshold. "He will be." Lily's eyes remained guarded. The pharmacy changed his inhaler, and this one doesn't work as fast. Jamie studied Eleanor. "Are you the lady from across the street?" "I'm afraid so." That was creepy. Lily almost smiled. Eleanor did, despite herself. "It was. I owe both of you an apology." Jamie looked at Lily. "Can she come in?" "Mrs. Alvarez says old people shouldn't stand in the cold." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "Old people?" "Older people," he corrected. Eleanor could see nearly the entire apartment from the door. A folding table held schoolbooks, unpaid bills, and a blue metal recipe tin. Children's drawings covered a water stain. Near the radiator sat 4 grocery bags labeled with apartment numbers. "Those are for neighbors," Jamie explained. "Lily makes food when the diner has leftovers. The diner throws it away otherwise," Lily said. "It's not a heroic act." Eleanor noticed Lily had still not eaten her half of the sandwich. "May I see the necklace?" she asked. Lily hesitated, then lifted the chain over her head without removing it. Eleanor turned the swallow carefully. On the back, worn almost smooth, were the letters EW and AW. Eleanor's fingers began to shake. "Where did you get this?" "My mother." "What was her name?" "Ava Carter." Eleanor sank into the nearest chair. Jamie stepped closer to Lily. "Do you know our mom?" Eleanor looked up at him. His gray eyes were Daniel's eyes at 9 years old. She covered her mouth, but a small sound escaped. Lily pulled Jamie behind her. "You need to explain." "My daughter's name was Ava Whitmore." The room became still. Lily gave one quick, disbelieving laugh. "No. My mother didn't have a family with money. She did once. She worked 2 jobs. She used coupons. She died owing the hospital $11,000. The word struck Eleanor harder than an accusation. "Died." Lily's anger weakened for just a moment. 6 months ago. Eleanor looked toward the photograph on the windowsill. Ava was older in it, thinner, with an arm around Lily and Jamie. But the crooked smile was the same smile Eleanor had searched for in crowds for 3 decades. "I didn't know," Eleanor said. "She said you didn't want to know." Eleanor stood too quickly. "That isn't true." Lily opened the blue recipe tin and removed a bundle of envelopes tied with kitchen string. Each was addressed to Eleanor Whitmore. Each bore the same red stamp, "Return to sender." "She wrote every birthday," Lily said. "She stopped when I turned 16. Eleanor reached for the letters, but Lily closed the lid. "She waited for you," Lily said. "I won't let you turn that into another sad story rich people tell themselves." Eleanor's eyes filled. She did not defend herself. She simply removed her expensive coat and placed it around Jamie, whose shoulders had begun to shake again. "You're right," she said. "But I never returned those letters." A heavy knock struck the apartment door. Lily opened it to find a bright orange notice taped across the frame. The building had 30 days to be vacated. At the bottom was the name Whitmore Development. Jamie read the company name aloud before Lily could hide it. "Is that your family?" he asked Eleanor. Eleanor looked at the orange notice, then at the coat around his shoulders. "Yes." Lily pulled the coat off Jamie and held it out. "Then you should go. I didn't know about this project. People like us are always told nobody knew." Lily folded the notice and tucked it beneath the recipe tin. Somehow the locks still change. Eleanor accepted her coat. At the door she paused. "Ava used to keep recipes in a blue tin. My father bought this at a yard sale." "No. I painted a white daisy over the dent because she cried when she dropped it." Lily looked down. Beneath decades of scratches, a faded white petal remained. The next morning, Eleanor entered Daniel's office without an appointment. He was meeting Victor Vale, the company's chief operating officer and his father's oldest advisor. Victor had spent 40 years protecting the Whitmore name. To the public he was calm, loyal, and almost invisible. To Daniel, he had been the steady uncle who remained after Ava vanished and Daniel's father died. Eleanor dropped the eviction notice onto the conference table. "Stop this project." Victor adjusted his glasses. "The Riverside acquisition? Contracts are already signed. A family lives in that building." "Hundreds of families live there," Daniel said. "They're receiving relocation assistance. Your sister's family lives there." Daniel's face hardened. "Mother." She placed a photograph of Lily's family beside the notice. Daniel picked it up. At first he saw strangers. Then he saw Ava's smile. "Where did you get this?" "The waitress from last night is Ava's daughter. The boy is her son." Victor reached for the photograph, but Eleanor covered it with her hand. "Ava is dead," she said. "She died 6 months ago believing we rejected every letter she sent." Daniel moved to the window. As children, he and Ava had hidden beneath the grand staircase and promised never to become cold like their father. After she left, Daniel wrote to her for years. Victor had personally mailed several letters. "This could be a scam," Victor said gently. "Grief makes resemblance feel like proof." Eleanor turned on him. "She has the swallow." For one instant, Victor's composure cracked. Then he looked at Daniel. "Pause nothing until we verify everything. Investors are already nervous." Daniel agreed to 48 hours. That afternoon he returned to the diner alone. Lily set down his coffee without speaking. "My mother told me," he said. "Then you know I don't want a check. I came for answers." "So did my mother. For 30 years. Daniel flinched. Lily saw it and regretted the cruelty but not enough to take it back. He placed the old photograph from his wallet on the counter. A teenage Ava stood beside him, holding a blue recipe tin between them. Lily touched the image with one finger. "She kept this picture face down. I thought she hated me. She thought you forgot her." For the first time they looked at each other not as millionaire and waitress, but as two people who had inherited opposite halves of the same wound. Neither knew how to apologize for a silence created before Lily was born, so the untouched coffee cooled between them. Carl emerged from his office. "Break's over, Lily." "I'm not on break." "Then stop visiting." Carl turned to Daniel with a smile. "Anything else, Mr. Whitmore?" Daniel noticed Carl's hand resting on Lily's tip jar. "Is that yours?" Carl withdrew it. "Shared house policy. The staff never agreed to that," Lily said. Carl's smile disappeared. "Careful." Daniel started to speak but Lily stopped him. "I can fight my own battles." She pulled a small notebook from her apron. 4 months she had recorded missing tips, shortened paychecks, and unpaid hours for every employee. She placed photocopies before Carl. "Return what you took by Friday," she said, "or these go to the labor office." Mateo and 2 cooks appeared at the kitchen door. Lily had not waited to be rescued. She had been building a case. Carl stared at the pages, then at Daniel. Fear became calculation. "You're fired." Lily removed her apron. Mateo stepped forward and removed his too. Then the cooks did the same. Customers began lifting phones. Before Carl could respond, Victor Vale entered with 2 company attorneys. He carried a leather folder stamped confidential. "Miss Carter," he said, "we need to discuss what your mother stole from this family." Victor placed the folder on the counter as if delivering a sentence. Inside were bank records, a police report, and a yellowed newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Whitmore heiress missing after charity funds vanish." Lily read the first paragraph twice. Ava Whitmore, age 19, had been accused of taking $80,000 from a family foundation before leaving Bellhaven with Michael Carter, a carpenter working on the estate. "My father never stole anything," Lily said. "The transfer used your mother's authorization code," Victor replied. "Your grandfather chose not to prosecute. He wanted to spare the family." Daniel's eyes stayed on the report. "Why have I never seen this?" "You were 14. Your father protected you." "By telling me she ran away?" Victor lowered his voice. Ava was frightened and ashamed. Some truths do more damage than silence. Eleanor entered the diner behind him. Silence did enough. She took the clipping from Lily and tore it in half. Ava did not steal that money, Eleanor said. I did. Even Victor looked stunned. Eleanor gripped the counter to steady herself. My husband controlled every account. Ava came to me the night he struck Michael and threatened to have him arrested. She was pregnant, though she hadn't told anyone. I transferred the foundation money into a separate account so she could leave safely. Daniel stared at his mother. You let everyone blame her? I planned to tell the truth the next morning. Your father found the account first. He said if I spoke he would accuse Michael and take Ava's baby after it was born. Eleanor looked at Lily. He promised. Ava would be allowed home after things calmed down. I believed him because fear can make a coward sound reasonable. No one interrupted her. Lily's hands curled around the edge of the folder. The money? Ava took only $3,000 for bus tickets and rent. I returned the rest within a week. Victor's voice became firm. Eleanor is recovering memories through grief. The official documents remain clear. You prepared those documents, Eleanor said. Daniel looked from Victor to his mother. The man who had taught him to tie a necktie was suddenly standing inside every unanswered question of his childhood. Did Ava write to us? Daniel asked. Victor did not blink. Not through any channel I saw. Lily picked up the blue recipe tin, which she had brought to work after the eviction notice. She untied the letters and spread them across the counter. Some were addressed to Eleanor. Others were addressed directly to Daniel. Daniel recognized Ava's handwriting. He opened one dated on his 18th birthday. Dear Danny, I saw your graduation picture in the paper. Lily has your eyes when she is angry. I hope one day you meet her. I need you to know I never stopped being your sister. Daniel sat down on a diner stool. His shoulders shook once. He pressed the letter to his mouth and tried to regain control, but 30 years of anger had lost its target. I wrote back, he whispered. Every year. Victor stepped closer. Daniel, private grief does not belong in front of cameras. Who returned these? Your father's household office handled the mail. You ran that office. Victor's jaw tightened. At his direction. The admission changed the room. Eleanor closed her eyes. Lily reached toward Daniel, then stopped. He saw the unfinished gesture and placed Ava's letter in her hand. For one quiet moment they held it together. Victor gathered the documents. The Riverside project will proceed. Family questions can be handled privately. No, Daniel said. Freeze every eviction. The board will remove you before tomorrow's opening bell. Then schedule the vote. Victor studied him with something close to sorrow. Your father built an empire by understanding that one person cannot outweigh thousands of shareholders. Lily stepped between them. There are 112 people in those buildings. We are not one person. Carl laughed bitterly from behind the register. You don't work here anymore. Take your family reunion outside. Lily looked toward Mateo and the cooks. Then she noticed customers placing cash beneath their untouched plates for the fired staff. Small bills formed a line across the counter. She pushed every dollar toward the workers. Not mine, she said. Ours? Daniel watched her do with $20 bills what his family had failed to do with millions. Tell the truth about who money belonged to. His phone rang. The board had called an emergency meeting for the morning. At the same moment, Jamie rushed into the diner carrying one final envelope from the blue tin. Lily, he said out of breath. This one was hidden under the lining. The envelope was unopened. Across the front, Ava had written, To my family, open only if Victor says I stole it. Lily wanted to open the envelope immediately. Eleanor stopped her. Not here, she said, glancing at the phones recording from nearby tables. Ava wrote it for family. Family is the reason she had to write it, Lily replied. Still, she slipped the envelope into her apron pocket. It was the last thing her mother had left unopened. Once read, there would be no more hidden words waiting. Victor's attorneys cleared a path to the door. Before leaving, Victor placed a business card beside Lily. Call before 9 tonight. I can guarantee a home, medical coverage for your brother, and enough money to finish school. For what? Privacy. You mean silence. I mean protection. Public families consume private people. His eyes softened. I watched it happen to your mother. For the first time, Lily heard something beneath his control: fear. It did not excuse him, but it made him more dangerous. He believed the cage had protected the bird. By evening, Lily had no job and 30 days to find a home. Someone leaked her identity to the press. Reporters crowded the sidewalk outside her building, shouting questions about inheritance and stolen money. Online strangers called her a waitress with a plan. Jamie sat beneath the kitchen table with his hands over his ears. Daniel arrived through the back stairwell with groceries and an apology. My security team traced the leak to a public relations firm Victor uses, he said. Lily did not take the bags. Did you bring cameras too? No. Lawyers? They're downstairs. She almost shut the door. Eleanor appeared behind him carrying a pot of chicken soup. I brought no one. Jamie crawled out. Is that Grandma's recipe? The word grandma silenced everyone, including Jamie. He looked embarrassed. Eleanor set down the pot and knelt until they were eye to eye. You may call me Eleanor until we earn the other name, she said. Jamie nodded, relieved. It smells like hers. Eleanor had used the recipe she taught Ava when she was 12. Lily tasted one spoonful and turned away. Grief did not arrive as tears. It arrived as rosemary, warm broth, and the memory of her mother humming over a chipped stove. They ate on folding chairs while reporters waited outside. Daniel gave Jamie his phone to watch old home videos. In one, 14-year-old Daniel chased Ava through a garden while Eleanor laughed behind the camera. Jamie watched twice. Mom ran like Lily. Lily runs faster, Daniel said. You've never seen me run, Lily replied. You chased my car for a block. Her smile lasted only a second, but it was the first one Daniel had earned. Then the building's lights went out. Someone had ordered the electricity disconnected weeks ahead of schedule. In the dark, Jamie's breathing quickened. Lily reached for his inhaler, but the canister was empty. The refill, she said. I never picked it up. Daniel lifted Jamie and carried him down 3 flights while Lily counted his breaths. Eleanor pushed through the reporters and shouted for space. Daniel's car reached the hospital in 6 minutes. Jamie recovered, but the doctor warned that another untreated attack could be worse. At the pharmacy counter, Daniel quietly placed his card down. Lily placed hers over it. I can pay. Her card was declined. Daniel did not say anything. He simply left his card beneath her hand and looked away, giving her privacy even while helping. Lily finally moved her fingers. This is for Jamie, she said. Only Jamie. It was not surrender. It was trust with boundaries. Outside the hospital, Victor waited beside a black car. He held a settlement agreement for $2 million. In return, Lily would sign a statement saying Ava had acted alone, surrender the letters and leave Belhaven. Your brother nearly died tonight, he said. Pride will not keep him safe. Lily stared at the number. $2 million meant medicine, a quiet home, college, and sleep. Jamie would never again hear her whispering to creditors through the bathroom door. She thought of every night Ava had chosen groceries over medicine, and every morning she had still tied Lily's shoes with a smile. If Lily sold the truth now, her mother would disappear a second time for money. Daniel said, If you sign, I won't blame you. Eleanor's face crumpled, but she said the same. Neither will I. They had finally given Lily what the Whitmore family had denied Ava, a choice without punishment. Lily took the pen. She looked through the hospital window at Jamie asleep beneath a silver blanket. Then she crossed out the confidentiality clause. I'll accept enough to relocate every family in the Riverside buildings, she said. No statement. No letters. No lie. Victor took back the agreement. Then you receive nothing. I still have my name. Lily removed Ava's unopened envelope. Before she could break the seal, an alarm sounded inside the hospital. Nurses rushed toward Eleanor, who had collapsed beside Jamie's bed. As Daniel caught his mother, the envelope fell beneath Victor's car. Victor saw it, and while everyone ran inside, he picked it up. Eleanor had suffered a mild heart attack. The doctor said she would recover, but only if she rested and avoided stress. When she woke, Lily was asleep in a chair beside her. Daniel stood at the window, still wearing yesterday's shirt. Eleanor touched Lily's hand. She stayed. She wouldn't leave. Lily opened her eyes. You followed me home. I figured we were even. Eleanor smiled weakly. Then she saw the empty place beside the recipe tin. Where is Ava's letter? Lily searched her apron, the chair, and the hallway. Daniel asked hospital security to review the cameras. The footage showed Victor picking up the envelope, studying it, and putting it inside his coat. Daniel stared at the frozen image. He lied to my face for 30 years. Then don't lie to yourself now, Lily said. You trusted him. That doesn't make you guilty. What you do next might. Daniel called the board. Instead of begging them to delay the vote, he requested that Victor attend and answer questions under oath. Then he suspended the Riverside contractors. It might cost him control of the company, but power had begun to feel smaller than the people harmed to preserve it. Lily did not wait for his boardroom. She gathered tenants in the church basement and opened her notebook. The same careful records that exposed Carl's stolen tips now tracked every broken promise in Whitmore's relocation plan. Missing checks, false notices, disabled elevators, and utility shutoffs. Mateo brought testimony from diner workers. Mrs. Alvarez brought photographs. Jamie drew a map showing every child in the 3 buildings. They call us units, Lily told the room. Tomorrow we give them names. Meanwhile, Eleanor remembered something Ava had once said. When people hide letters, they choose walls because walls don't testify. She asked Daniel to take her to the old Whitmore house, now used for company retreats. In the former mailroom, Lily noticed a section of wood paneling darker than the rest. Jamie tapped it. The sound was hollow. Behind the panel were 2 canvas mail sacks. Daniel cut the first one open. Hundreds of envelopes spilled across the floor, birthday cards, photographs, and letters Ava had written. The second sack held Daniel's replies, all stamped but never mailed. Jamie sat among the envelopes and sorted them by year. To him they were paper. To Eleanor, each stamp marked a birthday she could never recover and a door she had failed to open. He sank to his knees among the years they had stolen. Lily picked up a small pink card addressed to her at age 5. Inside, Daniel had written, "Your mom says you like airplanes. I do too. Maybe one day I can show you New York from the top of our building. Love, Uncle Danny." You knew my name, she said. I knew everything she told me until the letters stopped. Lily handed him the card. Then we both lost her. It was the first time she included him in her grief. At the bottom of the second sack they found foundation ledgers. The missing $80,000 had been returned, exactly as Eleanor said. But 6 months later, a much larger sum had been transferred to a shell company. Victor had used Ava's supposed theft to hide his own. His first silence had obeyed Daniel's father. Every silence afterward had protected himself. The front door opened. Victor stood in the hall holding Ava's final envelope. I wondered how long it would take Eleanor to remember the wall, he said. Daniel rose. Give it to Lily. Victor looked suddenly old. Your father ordered me to return Ava's first letter. I told myself it was loyalty. Then the company nearly failed and I moved foundation money to cover the debt. By the time we recovered, the lie was holding up everything, your inheritance, the board, thousands of jobs. So you kept my mother poor, Lily said. I kept the company alive. Both can be true, she replied. Only one kept you comfortable. Victor's hand tightened around the envelope. If this becomes public, pensions will fall. People with no part in our mistakes will pay. Daniel took one step forward. That is what you said about every person you erased. For a moment, Victor seemed ready to tear the letter. Eleanor walked between them. You spent your life protecting this family from consequences, she said. All you protected us from was love. Victor lowered his hand. Before he could surrender the letter, police lights washed across the windows. Carl had reported Lily and the tenants for trespassing. Officers entered the house as reporters gathered outside. Victor looked at the cameras beyond the door, then at the envelope. Tomorrow's board meeting won't matter, he said. By morning, the whole city will decide which of us it believes. Lily walked out of the Whitmore house carrying the blue recipe tin. Behind the police line, reporters shouted that she had broken in to steal family records. Victor could have stayed silent. Instead, he stepped beside her and raised Ava's envelope where every camera could see it. She came at the invitation of the owner, he said. No crime occurred. Tenants filled one side of the Whitmore boardroom and investors filled the other. Jamie sat beside Eleanor holding the white daisy. Victor began before Daniel could call the meeting to order. I returned Ava Whitmore's letters, he said. I concealed Daniel's replies. Later, I used the scandal to hide an unauthorized transfer. I believed the company could not survive the truth. He placed his resignation on the table. One director demanded security remove him. Lily stood. Let him finish. Victor looked surprised. Why? Because my mother never got to hear the whole truth. I will. Victor handed her the envelope. Inside was not proof of another crime. It was a 4-page letter in Ava's careful handwriting. Lily read it aloud. Ava wrote that Victor had offered her money to disappear. She refused. Before leaving, he admitted Daniel had written back. That confession gave her hope, so she saved every letter to prove she had tried. On the last page, Ava addressed Lily directly. If they ever find you, do not make them pay for loving me too late. Make them prove that love is something they do, not something they inherit. Lily's voice broke. Daniel lowered his head. Eleanor pressed the silver swallow to her lips. The board voted to remove Daniel anyway. He had frozen a profitable project, exposed company misconduct, and invited legal claims. 6 hands rose against him. Before the 7th could rise, Daniel pushed back his chair. You don't need to remove me, he said. I resign. Victor stared at him. Your father would call that weakness. My father confused control with strength. Daniel looked at Lily. I did too. He presented one final resolution. He would surrender his voting bonus and sell a private hotel property to repay the foundation and fund a Riverside Community Trust. The trust, not Whitmore Development, would own the apartment buildings. Tenants would choose renovations, relocation, or redevelopment. Every worker would receive back pay. The diner would be offered to its employees before Carl's lease could be renewed. The plan cost Daniel his position and much of his fortune while protecting ordinary shareholders. Then Eleanor raised her hand. Victor, no longer a board member but still a shareholder, raised his. 2 pension representatives followed. The 7th vote never came. The community trust passed. Carl stood at the back. You can't give away my business. Mateo faced him. No. But you can't run it with our stolen wages anymore. State labor officers entered with Lily's records. Carl's confidence disappeared as employees stepped forward one by one. Outside, reporters surrounded Lily and asked how much she would inherit. Nothing today, she said. Then why did you do all this? Jamie slipped his hand into hers. Lily looked at the families leaving the building with written guarantees instead of orange notices. Because being seen should not depend on being related to someone rich. Daniel joined them without security. A reporter asked what he planned to do now that he was no longer chief executive. Jamie answered first. He promised to show us New York from the top of a building. Daniel laughed through tears. Apparently I have plans. Eleanor approached Lily slowly. Ava said we had to prove love. Lily opened the recipe tin and placed the original diner receipt inside, the one showing a $3 tip instead of $500. Then start small, she said. Dinner on Sunday. No lawyers. Eleanor nodded. No lawyers. Victor began walking away alone. Lily called his name. He turned, expecting anger. She held up Ava's letter. You're going to testify about every family displaced under your projects. Victor's face tightened. And after that? After that, forgiveness is their decision. Not mine. For the first time, he bowed his head without hiding behind loyalty, duty, or the company name. Lily took Jamie's hand and Ava's divided family walked out together. 6 months later, the Riverside Diner reopened under a new sign. The blue tin belonged to its workers, and nobody's tips disappeared into an owner's pocket. Mateo managed the kitchen. Mrs. Alvarez baked pies on Tuesdays. Lily attended evening accounting classes and handled the books with the same small notebook that had once recorded every stolen dollar. She refused Daniel's offer to make her president of the community trust. "I don't know enough yet," she told him. "That has never stopped anyone in my old boardroom." She laughed. "Ask me after graduation." Daniel spent his days visiting tenants. Without assistance clearing his path, he learned how long elevators stayed broken and how many forms one check required. Power had once meant never waiting. Now it meant shortening someone else's wait. Eleanor moved 3 blocks from Lily and walked to the diner each morning. She ordered 2 coffees in the booth where Lily had refused Daniel's money. The second waited across from her for Ava. After the mold was removed, Jamie's breathing improved. At school he wrote, "The time my sister fired a millionaire." Daniel framed it. On Sundays they opened one old letter after closing. Some brought laughter, others anger. They did not rush forgiveness. They practiced it. Victor testified in 3 investigations. The court ordered him to repay what remained of the stolen funds and perform community service. Daniel spoke against prison, but Lily refused to write a letter either way. "Mercy without truth is just another secret," she said. Victor volunteered at a clinic for displaced tenants. Some believed he had changed. Others said he wanted his reputation back. Lily decided both could be true. One afternoon, Victor brought in the missing stone from Ava's second swallow, found in the old mailroom. "I thought Eleanor should have it," he said. Lily closed his fingers around it. "You return it." He placed it in Eleanor's palm. She did not embrace him or offer forgiveness. She said, "Thank you for returning something that wasn't yours to keep." For that day it was enough. At Lily's graduation, Eleanor carried Ava's photograph and Jamie wore a crooked tie. The loudest cheer came from diner workers and Riverside tenants. Afterward, Daniel handed her an envelope. She narrowed her eyes. "We have discussed this." "Open it." Inside was no money. It was an application naming Lily as the elected director of the community trust, signed by every tenant representative. "This isn't charity," Daniel said. "It's a job." The vote was unanimous. Lily looked at Eleanor. "Love is something we do," Eleanor said. "Sometimes it looks like getting out of the way." Lily accepted. That evening they returned to the diner. A mother at the counter discovered she was $10 short. Before she could put back her child's meal, Jamie carried the blue recipe tin to her. It now held folded bills donated by customers for anyone who needed food. The mother hesitated. "I can't take someone else's money." Lily knelt beside her. "Then don't. Take dinner. When life gets easier, leave dinner for someone else." The woman accepted and her girl began to eat. Daniel remembered pushing $500 toward a tired waitress and thinking generosity was measured by what he gave. Lily taught him it depended on who held the choice and whether anyone expected silence. Eleanor opened the blue tin and placed Ava's final letter beneath the diner receipt. The silver swallow rested on top, its repaired eye shining beneath the lights. "Your mother came home," Eleanor said softly. Lily looked around the long table, at Jamie arguing with Daniel over dessert, at Mateo carrying soup, at tenants who now owned the ground beneath their feet. "No," she said. "We finally went to meet her." The family had lost 30 years because powerful people believed silence could preserve what truth might break. In the end, truth did break something: the walls, the pride, and the old meaning of the Whitmore name. What remained was smaller than an empire and worth far more: a table with room for everyone, a blue tin that never closed on another voice, and a woman who had refused to let money decide what her honesty was worth.